In this video, I'll show you how I resolved 3 valves that seemed to be piped together. Or were they? This job site was featured in this 3-part series explaining how to improve bad coverage. The issue we're discussing on this video is regarding a problem that I've seen happen on several properties, and that is of having the drip tubing from 2 or more valves connected together accidentally, and now we want to separate them, but first we must find where they are tied together, and that could be quite a challenge. On this property, the roots and plants have grown over and swallowed some of the tubing. This can pinch off the flow of water, so ultimately that should be dealt with by rerouting the tubing over and around those issues. But that's not what we're after today. We just want to find and resolve our other problem. The valves that were tied together were these 3 here. When station numbers 18, 21, or 30 got turned on from the timer, they all seemingly came on. I had done an electrical test at each of these valves, proving that there was only electrical current flowing to the specific valve I was activating, so I knew that the drip tubing was tied together. I did find an anomaly with 21 and 30, but that would resolve itself, as you'll see in a moment. The reason that I used alphabetical letters on the diagram to represent the valves is because I intend to change the wiring in the timer so that the valves come on the property in a linear clockwise fashion instead of the way it does now, which is jumping all over the place. This way, regardless of what the station numbers become, the valve boxes are always represented the same from document to document, as seen on this station identification sheet for the job. There were originally almost 35 valves on the property. Have you benefited from my videos on this channel? Have you considered helping to support it? You can use the link below to visit my Patreon site, the home of Sprinkler Pros Academy, where you can access valuable content in more detail than you'll find here. Plus, there will be more variety of content. At Sprinkler Pros Academy, I'll be posting videos and documents for the do-it-yourselfers and professionals alike. Also, on this video, please like and subscribe and click the bell if you'd like to be notified of future videos. We have a situation here where we have 3 sprinkler valves on this property. That one, one over here, and one over there, that are all tied together via the drip tubing above ground accidentally. And I just found the first place where it was tied in. So that other one over there, one of those other ones, comes around and is tied in with this. It goes back behind there, and then over here it teed right there. That one goes over here and goes to that valve box. So I'm going to undo that T over there. Technically, I could cut that all apart, put a coupler there, and crimp this one, but I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm just going to cut this here and crimp both ends. I find the easiest way to do this kind of thing when I'm doing the tracing is using one of these trenching shovels. It's a 3-inch wide blade made by Corona. And that way it's just wider than the drip tubing. So a big blade would cut a bigger swath. One of the things I do in here is, like, when I'm trying to find where the drip tubing possibly crosses over here, then I scrape this away, scrape down until I am satisfied that I've gone deep enough and that I must look somewhere else, and that's what I did here. I went back to this side of the agapanthus and found it over. and traced it to that T. Make sure you keep the covers on valve boxes. This is full of leaves. Look at that. Handfuls of it. That's the way it should be left. See here, as I'm investigating, you see how the roots have swallowed this tubing, and this tubing is going right up against the base of this plant. You want to keep the drip tubing away from the base of plants for this reason, and the base can actually swallow that tubing over time. So we'll see what we got going on down here. This is all roots under here, and that tubing is under it, and there's a big old root right here. So, and I'm trying to find it on this other side over here. So far, no luck. I'll find it, but okay. Cut some of these surface roots and dug some more over here, and I finally found it. So you watch here. It's loose. It's not being pinched at the moment after I cut some of the roots away from it. So when I pull on that, that one moves too. So I know they're connected, but what I'm looking for is a T under here. So I'm going to unbury this and see if I can find a T. And there we have it. There's a T. Now, I'm not saying this is a T I'm looking for, but it's definitely possible. So I'm going to do a little more investigating and go from there. Okay, well, I traced it to this. I had to unbury it because that was buried under mud, but it's right at the base of this Texas privet here. From the perspective of that T I just found, there's that. So at this point, you know, I don't know which valve this is connected to, but we're gonna hope that it's number 30. So, and I don't want to cut this tubing any closer to that than I have to. So, and to get a positive ID of what direction the water is going to flow when I cut the tubing to test this, since we've got 3 directions here, I'm going to just cut it right here, right there. I'm going to have to put a new T on here, and I'm not going to have a whole lot of slack, but I think I've got enough here to make this happen. So I'll cut it right here and hope that when I turn on number 30 that it just comes out here. If that's the case, then I'll crimp this and turn on number 30 again and see if I find water coming out anywhere else, any other tubing. And then I'll turn on number 21 and see if water comes from this direction. That's what we're going to hope. If that's the case, then this is the place where they are tied together. Ta-da! All right. Test number 1 is complete. Now we'll go to number 21. And see what happens. Oh, it's those sprinklers. Okay, different number. Well, I found the problem between this one and this one wasn't the tubing tied together. It was actually a wiring issue. Apparently the wiring between here and the timer is cut. So they ran an 18 gauge wire set from this one over to here. And so both of these valves come on at the same time. So I disconnected the wire here, and I'm going to get a wire tracer out here to verify that the wire that's in there is severed between here and the timer. Hopefully we can separate these two. If not, oh well, it's not that big a deal, but it's always nice to be able to split the lines, because this drip tubing is going over all of this area here, all over there, and all the way around the house here. Since I need to put a new T on this section anyway, I'm going to pull that tubing out from underneath the roots over here and lay it on top of the roots. There's an emitter in there I know that's snagging, so I'm going to have to get forceful with it and then repair that section. So there you go, it's laying on top of the roots now, and that actually gave me more tubing, so I got plenty there to put that T back together. On this side, I verified that it's tied down there, and I already cut it and crimped it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this side all be watered by this valve. So since this is being fed here from that valve over there, then number 30, I'm going to cut it here and crimp it so that all this here will be on this valve. And I took the jute staples out that were here and a couple over here to loosen this up, because this strawberry tree is going to continue to get bigger, and it's going to continue to heave up and pull that tubing tighter. So now it won't be doing that. This can flex with the heaving. See what happens when you put a T-post against a trunk? Grows in around it. Not sure how good that is for the tree. So I did what I could do by separating two lines that were connected together here and here. So it was time to get a wire tracer out here to track the wiring between these two valve boxes. Gary was able to nail down the wiring, so to recap and conclude this project, we had these three valves tied together somehow, so when number 18 activated, all this area was watering. Then when number 21 activated, this same area was watering again. And the same when number 30 activated. I found two places where the drip tubing was tied together here and here. Once I got them disconnected, number 18 now only waters this area. Then we found that these two valves were wired together, and I was able to separate them. Now when number 21 activates, it only waters this area. And when number 30 activates, it only waters this area. I had another job a year before this one that had 3 drip lines tied together over a large area, and that was a doozy to find them and separate them all. So now you've seen that when things seem to be tied together, it can be valves wired together, drip tubing teed together, or PVC piping teed together. It takes patience and critical thinking to troubleshoot and resolve issues like this, but it can be done. I hope you learned some things. Let me know in the comment section below. Remember the free downloads that can help you with your irrigation. Also remember the resources site link below that has most of the products for sale that I've discussed in these videos. Thanks for watching. See you next time.